Well, it's, what is it, Thursday evening here in the ABQ, and there is a blizzard heading into Albuquerque. It's already snowing lightly. They're predicting a foot of snow or more, which doesn't sound like a whole lot of snow if you live in another part of the country, but if you're living in the Southwest, places like this that aren't used to huge amounts of snow, and we don't drive with studded snow tires in the wintertime, so nobody has those. And hardly anybody has chains, and the city does a little bit of plowing snow off the major surfaces, and they use a little bit of sand and cinder, but they don't use salt. So we're not really well suited to preparing for dealing with snowstorms and blizzards. The whole place will shut down. It'll be a madhouse, and you won't be able to get to work. So we have that going for us. So stuck at home is a great thing. I have like 24 typewriters. I have, hopefully we'll still have the internet, although today we lost the internet from CenturyLink. They had a nationwide outage, supposedly. So anyways. But this is the Canon Vixia 800 camcorder, and I'm testing it with this kind of late night vlogging style of video. Just grab it and go. The idea is to be as spontaneous as possible. Don't worry about what people think, what other people might think. Don't even worry as much about the quality of the video. It's not 4K footage. It's not a 4K camera. It's not as good of a sensor as a mirrorless camera because it's a small sensor, so it's not as good in dim light. It's going to be noisy. And I love the black and white film aesthetic, so I'll probably make this monochrome, and that helps the look of it. The graininess that's there, it looks a little more film-like, I think. But anyway, I'm playing with this. The little camera is mounted on this UltraPod 2 handheld tripod that acts like a handle when it's folded up. The flippy screen on your left I have turned up horizontally so I can't see it until I flip it down like that. I do that on purpose so that I don't keep watching the screen off to your left. Instead, I look at the lens and look right at you, because I can actually see you. See, there's like a purplish coating on the lens. The outer lens element has this coating, and you can see the reflections of the inner glass elements of the lens behind it, and you can see a little bit of the aperture. And then on the other side of the aperture, I can actually see you watching me. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You can only see it in dim light. But anyway, I have 24 typewriters, plenty of paper, plenty of typewriter ribbons, and so there is an infinite number of possible worlds that exist in the mind of a writer in a work of writing, a work of fiction. So I have unlimited access to unimaginable worlds at my fingertips if I have the sufficient imagination to sit down and write them. So maybe that's what I'll do when I'm stuck here with this blizzard that's supposed to hit. We'll see. Oh, I got coffee also. Now, I love notebooks, and I love journal books, and I've used a lot of journal books and notebooks over the years, and recently I started using this composition book, and what's special about this composition book is it's Unlined. And I started using it, and I was using it as kind of a combination composition book and scrapbook for putting different things in that I thought were interesting. And I started using this throughout the fall, and I noticed here that the last time that I've used this notebook is December 4th, and today's date is December 27th. By the time you see this video, it may be December 28th. So almost the entire month of December, I've totally ignored this thing. Why is that? I don't know. It's one of those mysteries. I get a new notebook system, I start using it, and then all of a sudden, something happens. I think what it was, actually, was I believe I got interested in using my thermal typewriter a lot more, and I started doing more typewritten notes, larger things, instead of just writing things right in here. Oh well, I don't know. I don't understand myself either. Got to show you another thing here. This Soroban abacus I got at a thrift store recently. Has these really cool metal brackets on the sides, and it has the neat little joinery. These little metal bushings that are used to hold the bamboo rods in place with pins. Very cool construction, and the thin laminated dividing bar, and of course the classic biconic shaped beads of the Japanese Soroban. Very cool. One of my favorite bloggers is Austin Kleon, and Austin, if you're not familiar with him, he's the guy that wrote Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work and Keep Going and the newspaper blackout poems. He's a great guy, and I follow his blog every day. So he has a article dated today, December 27th, 2018, about his reading list of the year 2018, the books he's read and that he liked. And the one on the top of the list is called Tape for the Turn of the Year by A.R. Ammons. And this was a poem written in 1963 by poet A.R. Ammons, and it was written on a roll of adding machine tape. And so this guy chose to limit the structure of the poem to the physical size of an adding machine tape. And I'm looking a little bit at an excerpt of this poem. This was in one of Austin Kleon's previous blog articles, but it's just really cool that how he embraced the adding machine tape to structure his poem. And it got me thinking that, you guys know I've been typing this last year on adding machine tape. I've been using my Royal Quiet Deluxe typewriter. I've used 2 1/4 inch adding machine tape in it, and also I've been using the slightly wider 4 3/8 inch thermal paper with my recently acquired thermal typewriter, the Brother EP20. So this interested me. Not enough, though, to buy the book off Amazon, this poetry book, although I'm tempted to. But I wanted to mention it to you. Tape for the Turn of the Year. That's the name of that book by A.R. Ammons. If you guys are creative, interested in some alternative ways of doing poetry, there's an idea. Thread up a roll of adding machine tape or paper in one of your typewriters and leave it there. Don't take it out. Leave it there until the entire tape is used up, and then make it one continuous piece. So this Panasonic compact cassette recorder that I've been using, haven't really featured it yet on my channel, but I've been playing these tapes, the greatest jazz recordings of all time. Anyway, this is tape 3B, which is Roy Eldridge, but really cool, enjoying this, and it plays and sounds pretty good on this little monaural Panasonic. Unfortunately, can't really demo it for you because the music is probably copyrighted and all that, but it's pretty fun listening to it here on a good tape player. I sat here for hours late this afternoon, early this evening, retyping the third draft of my Cold Hard Type story. And I used a rectangle 4 inches by 7 inches on my backing sheet of paper. That's the backing sheet of paper. That's the size that Dr. Polt requires for the typewritten pages. And I got a third draft typed without any typographical errors, hopefully, of my story. And because I'm using pica, 10 characters per inch, the story goes to 10.5 pages. So this was done on my Facet 1620. Hopefully it'll be ready for submission soon. Yeah, the one challenging thing that I found with my typing of my story today using the 4 by 7 inch format was with 10 character per inch pica typeface, you end up running out of room pretty quickly at the end of the line, and so you have to choose either to truncate a long word mid word with a hyphen, or to leave a big space there and put the entire long word at the next line. I tried to do mostly the latter because I didn't want a bunch of hyphens at the down on the right side of the margin, but I also ended up changing some of the wording of some of the paragraphs, just to put like a, instead of one long word, put two different smaller words, and I could fit those lines better, fill them up with words better. Anyway, so I hopefully didn't mess up the rhythm and the mood of my story too badly by trying to force the verbiage to fit within this 4x7 template. But that is the challenge of typing on a 10 character per inch machine with that such a small typing area, which makes me wonder that maybe I should just retype this another draft version using an Elite font machine just to see how it works, and use the previous verbiage from draft number 2 before I did those little last minute changes, just to see which one of those drafts I might like the best. But that's the challenge when you're actually writing by typewriter. The challenge of this cold hard type story is not just writing by typewriter, but we've talked a lot about first draft writing is where typewriters are really good. But the challenge of this project is you're not just first draft writing, you're actually writing the entire piece to the published format. These are going to be scanned and printed in a book this way, using the appearance that it is right on our page. It's not going to be justified font where both margins line up evenly. It's just the way it is. It's typewritten. And for those of us that are typecast bloggers, we're kind of used to this, though. If you're a typewriter blogger, you've probably been used to the whole thing about how does it look, what's the appearance of this column of words, especially along the right margin. So one of my favorite websites is Arts and Letters Daily, and under the Articles of Note column, you come down here to an article. In 1965, Allen Ginsberg began using a tape recorder to produce his work, his poetry, the same technology that the CIA and FBI were using to spy on him. This article on poetryfoundation.org, and it's called Caught on Tape. And it talks about, for avant-garde poets, audio recording was a breakthrough and a threat. And I love the artwork in this article. And it goes on to talk about a book by Lidl Shaw called Narrowcast, Poetry and Audio Research. And yes, yours truly has ordered that book from Amazon. It'll be here in probably a couple weeks, and then I'll have to sit through it and read through it and hopefully not get too bored. But I ordered that book because this is the linkage between poetry and tape recorders. The historical linkage it's talking about. And as you well know, if you've watched this channel, I talk a little bit about both tape recorders and writing. And here is a guy that's done this book about that and how that was a historical reality. Interesting. Well, we'll have to do a video on that when I'm done with the book, if I ever get done with the book. This is Joe Van Cleve, and this is not a vlog.